Hi lovelies, Eileen here, the Mellow Astrologer, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about just the general energies that have been at play for the last 6 weeks or so, specifically because I've had a lot of friends and clients reaching out to me, leaving comments on the YouTube videos or on Instagram saying, what the hell is going on? I totally got my ass kicked the last few weeks, and I certainly did myself, so I can really empathize, and I wanted to explain why, if you are feeling down, why this may be the case. And when I say feeling down, what I've heard described most often is a sense of overwhelm, a sense of anxiety or stress, like a spike in anxiety levels and stress. And then also, quite a few people have had sudden or unexpected surprises show up in their life that they are perceiving to be difficult. Okay, so that's their experiences, that they are difficult. And I want to remind everybody that the prevailing energy at play for 2021 and 2022, actually both years, but we'll focus on 2021, is the Saturn-Uranus square. So Saturn is in the sign of Aquarius and Uranus is in the sign of Taurus, and so those are 90 degrees apart in the zodiac, those two signs, and that creates a stressful or tense aspect, that's 90 degrees of coming together, okay? And it can bring external challenges and unexpected. It's like, I always use the metaphor of two cars coming at each other at a right angle and they collide without knowing that they're coming at each other, right? So the Saturn-Uranus square, it's not all bad news. It's not to say that we're just going to have these sudden collisions out of nowhere. What the Saturn-Uranus square is actually doing is Saturn represents structures in the material world and the systems that we have in place, and Uranus is wanting us to examine those systems and structures and make changes where changes need to be made. So a lot of people have asked me, especially astrologically, is COVID over? When is COVID going to be over? Well, COVID's never going to be over, and I don't mean in terms of the virus, I mean in terms of it is a psychological imprint on all of humanity now. So those of us who are living through this time, we will have that in our biology, right? Like we're going to be moving forward with this imprint of global crisis. And this is important because we're at the tail end of dealing with the urgency of it and the more emergency crisis mode, right? We're no longer in crisis mode, even though it's not as though we are relaxed about it, of course, right? But the Saturn-Uranus square comes into play here because now what's happening is we had this cataclysmic event in 2020, and now we're looking at the future and what do we do here? And this is both individually and collectively. So I had a client the other day asking me about, is it a good time to make changes, and is it an opportune time to make decisions about offers that are being extended to her? And I said, not so much. Now is the time. It doesn't mean that you don't capitalize on opportunities that are coming your way, but now is a time when we are collectively and individually evaluating the structures that exist in our life and what we want to see moving forward. Okay, so what does that mean, the structures? This can be anything from your job to simply how you do self-care. It is a matter of looking closely at one's life and examining what is going well, where am I integrity with myself and with others, where am I following my heart or not? Right? And then Uranus is bringing in, so Saturn is all of those existing ways of operating, okay, our daily life. It's the getting in the car at 7:30 and taking kids to school and dropping them off, and then driving to your job and doing your job for 8 hours, and then getting off work and going to the grocery store and coming home and making dinner, right? This is Saturn, the routine of life and our daily social activities, etc. Whereas Uranus is a more transcendent energy that is asking us to look beyond, to have a more visionary approach. So what we collectively experienced in 2020 through the emergency, the crisis that was COVID, it instigated a deep, deep self-reflection. And a lot of us came out of that period like, I don't want I don't actually want to have to stop wearing my mask because it hides my emotions as I move through life. I don't want to have to go back into my workplace, or, oh my God, I can't wait to go back to the office and have social stimulation, right? So this deep self-reflection is across the board. It's in our relationships, it's through work, our social activities, etc. Okay, but humans are not so fantastic at making changes. Very few of us are really good at identifying where something needs to change and then being like, woohoo, I'm going to make that change, right? This is particularly true wherever we have an intense attachment. So what happens with Uranus is Uranus and Saturn, both of them really want us to, Saturn in particular wants us to be in integrity and to take responsibility for ourselves. And Uranus just wants to have the freedom to actualize. And so if it doesn't have the freedom to actualize on the vision, then there will be ruptures. So Uranus is the planet of disruption, okay? And disruption can be good or bad. Think if you're at a party and there's a disruption, ooh, there might be something interesting going on, or, oh God, the cops got called and the party got shut down, right? So disruption can play out in many different ways, but that's the energy of these next 2 years, is this tense aspect between what needs to change and are you going to change? And if you're not going to change, does the universe need to pull some plug that forces you to change because you're not capitalizing on the moment, even though it's difficult? Okay, so in June, the last 6 weeks, if you don't already have my freebie, you should download it. It's called Electrifying Astrology. The link is in the description. By the way, if you're liking the videos, please hit the like button and subscribe. I also give you tips for how to navigate the bigger astrological dates. Okay, so when the energy is most potent, and that's positive and challenging, right? So in late May and June, the reason I'm plugging this thing is because all of those dates are on here, and you can see where, like, oh yeah, those 6 weeks of time, there's a lot going on. So you know that your life is going to reflect what's happening in the heavens. There's a lot going on. So most people I talked to did actually have good things happening in June. It's not like it was just bad, bad, bad. It wasn't that way. It was more like there were lots of good things happening, but the challenging things were so stressful or so overwhelming that the good things that were happening were basically keeping us all sane versus being the types of things that we could revel in, right? So part of all those challenges was that we had Mercury retrograde, we had 2 eclipses, we had one of the exact squares between Saturn and Uranus, okay? And so this is a lot of different potent energies. You got to take my word for it, because I know most of you are not astrologers out there, but let me just tell you, I dreaded June coming because I knew even if nothing bad happens, it's still a lot of stuff. There's just going to be a lot to do. It's going to be kind of a crazy-making, frenetic time because there's an influx of so many different types of energies that our systems have to acclimate to, okay? And we forget that we're this entire reality that we occupy is energetically based. So if there is a shift of energy, then you have to acclimate to that. It's like the weather. It's like seasons changing, right? Like when it gets hot outside, your body has to acclimate. And it's the same thing with different types of energies, okay? So that's number one, why you maybe didn't feel so fantastic. And I want to just say, what I'm observing is that humans are so adaptable, and this is one of our greatest virtues, is our adaptability. And as I'm always talking about with various archetypes, there's the positive and the negative expressions. It's like we can embody the virtues or we can embody the shadows, or all of it, because it's a spectrum. So we're going back and forth at all times, right? And so this skill at adapting also puts us at a disadvantage at times, because we forget, in fact, that perhaps what we're adapting to isn't something that we would cognitively, that we would choose to adapt to. COVID is a perfect example of this. So there are many ways in which we've adapted to this time. Actually, an even better example than COVID is climate change. So we're all adapting to climate change, or not, because if you live where I live, you have to worry about your home burning down, and you go into get freaking heart palpitations when you see smoke in the sky, and that's not an exaggeration, okay? But my point here is that We have grown accustomed to a crisis state. And when you grow accustomed to something that has a strenuous effect on the psyche and your biology, you forget that you're in a constant state of strenuous activity, okay? And then you expect yourself to be doing better than you are, but that expectation is unrealistic. So I really want to encourage everybody to bring a sense of realism and empathy to your individual life and to others around you. So when I hear people saying, I'm so stressed out, I'm overwhelmed, I think, how could you not be? Is there anybody right now who's not stressed out and overwhelmed? And if you know those people, are they occupying the same reality that you are? And I'm not saying be pessimistic and be an Eeyore and walk around, worrying that it's post-apocalyptic times. I'm not encouraging that. I'm simply encouraging that we remember that we are in the thick of an extremely difficult moment for humanity. And yet we're all going about our lives expecting that we should feel good, or we shouldn't feel as bad as we do, at least, right? Even if we don't feel good. And that we should be able to conduct business as usual. We should go to work like we normally do. We should be parenting like we normally do. We should be interacting romantically like we normally do. No, we're in a crisis state. That's unrealistic. Okay, so the overwhelm, all of these things, that's normal. That's to be expected in a chaotic moment like we're in. And not just that it's chaotic, but that we're finding our way. So it's like, okay, we just had this emergency. Now what? It's like the tornado that comes through and wrecks the whole town and you're just standing in the debris. That's super overwhelming, not just because you just lost your home, but like where do you even begin to rebuild, right? Like there's so many components to that it's overwhelming. And we're all experiencing this in some aspect. And I know we've all grown accustomed to it feeling not like a tornado just destroyed our house, but in some ways it kind of has, okay? So I just want to bring some empathy and compassion to the moment, which has nothing to do with the astrology and also everything to do with astrology. And the last thing I want to say is we have 2 planets, personal planets. Personal planets are those that move faster and seem to have more of well, I'm not going to go into that. Students of astrology, if you want to know more about personal planets, let me know if you don't already. So Mars and Venus, Mars has been they're both in the sign of Leo, and Venus just moved into Leo a week ago. Mars has been there for a couple extra weeks, okay? And Leo is the sign, and when I say Mars and Venus are in Leo, they are traveling through the zodiac constellation of Leo, okay? That's why they're in that sign. And Leo is the sign of creative self-actualization. What does that mean? It means following the impulse of your heart, tuning in to your heart, what your heart wants, what it desires, and then actually acting to make that manifest in the world, to create something, to birth something. Leo is one of the most creative signs of the zodiac. It's the sign of leadership, it's the sign of romance, it's the sign of playfulness. So it is very attractive to children, animals, this type of, it embodies these archetypes, okay? And that's because the planet that rules the sign of Leo is the sun. So we know that we all feel better when the sun is shining, right? Maybe not in California when it's 110 degrees or 40 degrees Celsius and we're worried about fire, but still blue sky and sunshine, right, is amazing and makes our bodies feel good and it makes our minds feel good. So when Mars, the planet of action and initiation, the planet of lust and sex, and Mars is really like, it's the warrior energy, right? In mythology, Mars is the warrior. It's in the sign of romance and playfulness and creative self-actualization. And Venus is money, love, harmony, balance, self-worth, our value systems. Okay, these are the most prominent archetypes associated with these 2 planets. They are the cosmic lovers and they're meeting in the sign of romance. So we can expect that over the next few weeks, there will be a lightening of this heavy energy. It's not all good news. We're still under this prevailing energy that I mentioned is characterizing 2021 and 2022, the Saturn-Uranus square. And Mars and Venus are both in opposition to Saturn right now. For those of you studying astrology, if you're not studying, just ignore that. So it's not just beautiful benefic energy, but there is some beautiful benefic energy, okay? And I would encourage everybody throughout the month of July, I'm actually going to make another video about the Mars-Venus exact conjunction when they come together in the night sky exactly. Right now they both are occupying Leo. Now is the time to tune into the heart, to identify what it is that you want. What does your heart want more than anything? And now you have Venus's prudence with money. You have Venus's desire to be in alignment with the value system, and you have Mars's total kick-ass, like, let's go get this right now, right? So you have the oompa to create whatever it is that has been whispering at you, to create something from your heart. Okay, and I mean this quite literally. That's the Leo archetype, is to take what's in the heart and bring it out into the world. So right now, if you have any projects that you've been sitting on, creative projects, if there's something romantic that you've been wanting to do and haven't done, you know, somebody that you need to call, whatever it is, now is the time to do that. You are getting the energy from Mars to take action, to go get it, and you have Venus's like beauty and aesthetic to provide inspiration and gusto, okay? So that is the good news for this period. And this next month, it's July, we're in the sign of Cancer right now, and we're gonna have a new moon in Leo. Actually, wait, scratch that, pretend I didn't say that because I need to confirm. But all the same, my point here is that over the course of these next few weeks, I would really like you, as your spiritual practice, your self-reflection, your journaling practice, to tune into what is my heart telling me? What is no longer serving me? What energy do I need to step into? Because now is the time that we are experiencing the greatest facilitation of moving from the old into the new. And as my mom would remind you, my mom, the master astrologer who trained me, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, okay? Yes, Uranus wants changes to be made and is saying it's time for new things, etc., etc. But Saturn always reminds us that there is gold to be obtained from the past. Okay, and we all know what happens when we ignore the past and only look toward the future. We don't learn and we repeat mistakes. So I'm not telling you to do away with everything. I'm saying you keep what is working and you change what isn't working. You step into, from your heart, a new energetic that you are facilitating and co-creating with the universe here, okay? So on that note, I'm gonna say goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. Again, if you liked this video, please share it. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Ciao.